missing all types of lumber products, hard to find woods and paneling materials that are in stock and ready to help you conquer anything the job throws your way. Locally owned, Little Shavers Woodshop has a friendly, knowledgeable staff to get you in, out, and on with your day. Little Shavers Woodshop, 3301 Salisbury Highway in Statesville. Little Shavers Woodshop, LILshavers.com.
The following is a paid program and does not necessarily reflect the views of WSIC.
Hope is rising, healings in the air, real stories, real strength, love everywhere. It's your time, your space, your next best day. Welcome to the Healed Exchange.
Welcome to the Healed Exchange with Coach C. I am Charlisa Herriott, affectionately known as the Crushing Chemo Chic. I am a cancer survivorship coach, a cancer care minister, an author, thriver, and advocate for living healed, whole, and well. This is our sacred space where healing meets hope, faith meets fortitude, and our stories become strength for someone else. So wherever you are right now, take a deep breath, lean in, and let's begin today's conversation. If you are a fighter, thriver, caregiver, or an advocate, this conversation will feed your body, fuel your spirit, and fortify your faith. Today's episode, our guest today is a woman whose story beautifully blends hospitality, hardship, and hope. And her name is Kristi Martin, and she is the founder and executive director of Feast for Good, Nourishment to Brave Cancer, a Charlotte-based nonprofit, and I even put in here a movement. And we'll talk about that because I foresee it as a movement that's dedicated to providing nourishing meals and compassionate support to individuals bravely walking through cancer treatment. Her mission was inspired by two things: her personal cancer journey and her 25-year professional career in Charlotte's hospitality and culinary industries. In 2012, Kristi founded Charlotte's first food tour business, showcasing the area's chefs, restaurants, and culinary professionals after spending 14 years as an event and wedding planner for various venues. But in 2018, everything shifted. Kristi was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia. And in that moment, the very hospitality and culinary community she has supported for years rallied around her and her husband, providing meals, nourishment, and unwavering support during her treatment. What she received during her battle became the blueprint for her purpose. Now, through Feast for Good, Kristi's ensuring that those braving cancer treatments receive that same nourishment, dignity, and care for the culinary professionals within our region. Kristi, welcome to the Healed Exchange.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Okay, Kristi, I'm so glad to have you, and we're excited to be talking about this conversation here on today. Now, your journey reveals that healing is just not about physical aspect of it, but it is in nutritional, emotional, spiritual, and communal, where community really comes together. And from diagnosis to divine assignment, you will share with us how your nourishment became both your survival as well as your ministry. All right. So today's topic is entitled Nourished to be Brave, Feeding Faith Through Cancer and Calling. All right, champions. Listen, courage requires fuel and healing requires nourishment. All purpose often rises from pain. And so let's start off with our first segment here. And I had entitled this The Diagnosis and the Defining Moment. So, Kristi, take us back into 2018 when you received the diagnosis, or when you heard the diagnosis of acute myeloid leukemia. What was going through your head and your heart and mind at the time?
Sure. So I kind of found it, didn't know, it was basically a rash that I had. And it looked very different. Went to the primary care. They ran a bunch of blood tests and noticed a lot of things out of whack and suggested that I go see a hematologist who also ran their own test. Everything had doubled within a week. And it was like, we assume you have acute myeloid leukemia. I'm sending you to the hospital. You've got to go now, go home, pack a bag, don't waste time. They're waiting for you. This is fatal, but it's curable. And I'm like, okay. So it was almost like my marching orders, and I didn't have time to think, to be honest. I had to do all those other things. I had to go home. I had to pack. I couldn't process leukemia. And what is that,
Right.
And so got to the hospital, and then slowly but surely, everything starts becoming a little clearer with a lot more explanation and a lot more testing and a lot more, what you're going to go through and what you need to do and those kinds of things. So, I think I remember earlier on, of course, I'm laying in the hospital and there's probably a little anxiety going on and what is happening. And, but I do remember at one point thinking to myself, not why is this happening? Like, why? It was more like, why is this happening? What am I supposed to learn from this? I don't know. And just had to just keep trying to figure that out along the journey.
Wow, wow. That was something because at the time, did you ever really know what it was that they were diagnosed with you with? When you hear leukemia, like at the time, okay, what is that?
I mean, in a way, I've heard of leukemia, but I didn't know probably all the ins and outs as maybe I do now. But it's a blood cancer. And so even at times, I kind of never heard the C word, really.
Right.
You always heard leukemia. You never heard cancer.
Right.
So I don't know if sometimes that kind of cushioned my mental blow a little bit as well. I also knew that since it was blood cancer, sometimes I felt like I had it a little easier where I didn't have a tumor. I didn't have to have surgery. I didn't have things growing in me or spreading in me or things like that. I mean, it wasn't that. But then I heard the flip side of that perspective, and it was, I have blood cancer. It's everywhere. Blood is everywhere. And so I was like, oh, well, that's a good point too, I suppose. But I guess it just I don't know. I don't know where the strength came from, but and maybe it was just a lot of those little pieces and parts that, I didn't have time to think about it. I didn't have the C word always being told to me. I didn't have to have surgeries or wait for, painful diagnoses of biopsies. And, it was so fast and so furious. So maybe that was a little easier to digest.
Okay. Okay. And so I know that's kind of a lot to really, take in and to really dissect mentally to know that, okay, what does this mean? Does that journey look like for me? Well, we'll continue with that conversation once we come back from the great break. And you're listening to The Healed Exchange with Coach C.
We'll expect some extra clouds, but it should stay dry day of weather, a windy day of weather too for our Wednesday. Afternoon high temperatures, though, are in pretty good shape as we climb into the upper 60s, near 70 around the lake. Overnight upper 50s, so we stay mild. We should cross the 70-degree mark on Thursday, but we're going to bring back a bit of a wetter weather pattern as we go through the weekend. That's your forecast for the Surf, Pickleball, and Kitchen. I'm WSIC meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Mooresville Community Children's Theater invites you to Honk Jr., a joyful musical retelling of The Ugly Duckling, filled with humor, heart, and messages about acceptance and self-confidence.
Performances run February 26th and 27th at 7 p.m., February 28th at 1 and 4 p.m., and March 1st at 2 p.m. at the Joe V. Knox Auditorium in Mooresville. Learn more and get tickets at mooresvillechildrenstheater.org.
Parents, if your kids are like mine, they just don't stop growing. The Terry Kids Children's Consignment Sale returns to Mooresville Saturday, February 28th through Wednesday, March 4th at the Merino Mill Complex, 200 Brawley Avenue. Shop huge savings on gently used children's clothing, toys, baby gear, and more, with multiple shopping days and early access options for the best selection.
Get the full schedule, shopping times, and consignor info at terrykidsconsignment.com/Mooresville.
And finally, love is still in the air for Lake Norman couples planning their big day.
The third annual My Favorite Bridal Show, hosted by Events by Victoria, happens Sunday, February 22nd from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the Kettle Room at Gibson Mills in Concord. More than 60 wedding vendors will be there, from florals and planners to fashion, desserts, and decor, plus tastings, a fashion show, and prize drawings throughout the afternoon.
Pre-registered couples get in free, or it's just $5 at the door. And it's one of the best ways to meet vendors and gather inspiration in one place. Learn more and register now at eventsbyvictorias.com.
For even more local events, family activities, and things happening around Lake Norman, visit liveworkplaylkn.com.
That's liveworkplaylkn.com.
Hi, this is Bob McIntosh with the McIntosh Law Firm in Davidson. Since 1997, we have been committed to providing our clients with competent, caring, and experienced legal services. Learn more at McIntoshLawFirm.com.
We're back with the Healed Exchange, your midweek boost of hope, encouragement, and empowerment. WSIC Local starts here.
Hope is rising, healings in the air, real stories, real strength, love everywhere. It's your time, your space, your next best day. Welcome to the Healed Exchange.
Okay, welcome back to the Healed Exchange with Coach C. And on today, we have our guest. Her name is Kristi Martin, and she is the executive director and founder of Feast for Good, Nourishment for Brave Cancer. I'm telling you, it's been a good conversation that we started, that she shared with us that she is a thriver of cancer herself. And she was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia. And so she was sharing with us about her original, how she found out about the diagnosis, and her journey was a little different from what we would think normally of someone who would undergo, she didn't go under surgery or any chemo treatments or anything of that sort. For those who are just coming in and tuning in, Kristi, just share with us, how did they treat that form of cancer for you?
So the traditional format is what they call 7+3. It's two different drugs. One's called the Red Devil, so if that gives you any inside information as to how that goes.
Right.
But it was basically inpatient care. So I had to be in the hospital. I was there for about 3.5 weeks. And so I got 7+3, so that means about 7 days of intensive chemo. And then I had to reel from the effects of that. So there was a couple other journeys in the hospital, ICU, other things, but that's the main treatment protocol.
Okay. And during that time, did it require for you to be isolated from others to ensure that the protection of your immune system?
Exactly. So I got treated at Levine Cancer Institute here in Charlotte, and they have a special cancer floor. And so it is treated with special air systems and those kinds of things. And yeah, it's a definite immune protection zone.
Right. Okay. And so as you were going through, once you went through that and recovered and was able to return home and start, you know, seeing what life would be like for you then, because life was different, I can imagine.
Well, my life changed a little. It had to keep going a little bit,
Okay.
or treatment had to keep going a little bit. So part of the leukemia is about blood mutations, and
Okay.
depending on your blood mutation, you may or may not have to get other treatments. Mine was a bone marrow transplant. And that's a whole nother probably episode.
Okay.
We don't have to worry about that. But
Okay.
it meant that I had a anonymous donor. I have met her now. She's from Germany,
Oh,
and she gave me her stem cells to give me new bone marrow because my
wow.
bone marrow was sick enough and had a mutation that would always come back. My leukemia would always come back, or there's history that type of leukemia just constantly relapses. So to keep that from happening, they gave me new bone marrow so that I got new blood. So I
Oh,
wasn't so sick all the time. So I was in
oh,
the hospital another 3.5 weeks in April of 2019. So,
okay.
and then I had about a year that I had to be in quarantine. And of course, that ended with COVID.
Oh,
Or
wow.
it ended into COVID. So I was in
Okay.
quarantine again. And so, yeah, I
Mm.
had a little long journey of repair, I suppose.
Yes, yes. Now, during that time period that you were quarantined, and I imagine you were trying to strengthen, um, get your strength back up during that time. So life still continues, responsibilities, for the household, for, providing for yourself and your family, that still was expected. And so I can imagine, um, battling through such a journey and then still having to, provide with the necessities of life, such as
Definitely.
food, shelter.
Mhm.
So, could you share with us during that time how that was for you?
Sure. So, as you mentioned earlier, I was in the hospitality industry here in Charlotte doing wedding planning and for about 15 years. And then I started a business. So, when I got diagnosed, I was running a business that was doing food tours of Charlotte. And, um, basically, yeah, running a business and then being told you're now in the hospital and you can't get out. Yeah,
Mm.
luckily, I had a team that could kind of keep things going. So life had to continue, and but I also was part of an organization, and being in such a great, loving community of hospitality in Charlotte, I was part of an organization called the Piedmont Culinary Guild, made up of a great resource of chefs and restaurants, and
Mm.
obviously with my food tours, I was working with a lot of great chefs and restaurants and farmers and food products, and they all the that organization and a lot of people came together and did a food like a meal train for my husband and I.
Right.
And I had, I mean, probably some of the best chefs of Charlotte cooking for me and
Wow.
bringing us meals. And some of the nurses at the hospital were very jealous.
I can imagine.
Even some of my friends didn't even want to sign up for the meal train. They were embarrassed to cook for me.
You have the
I'm
best,
like,
right?
stop it, everybody. But no, it was super helpful because yes, life goes on, and grocery stores don't come to you, and
Right.
food, you have to cook it or whatever. And I wasn't feeling up to par all the time. And my poor husband, he is also an entrepreneur, so it's like he's trying to run his business and keep his sanity and care for me, and there's just a lot going on. And so to
Right.
have that continual resource of food coming into the house or coming into the hospital, we had that probably for a good over almost 2 months, and that was just super amazing. Not only nourishing, but also just one less worry to have to take care of. And then of course, just everybody rallying around, and there was a lot of fundraisers and different things that, of course, when you're friends with a lot of event planners, there's a lot of events that can
Right.
happen, and so there was great support in the community that everybody came together and helped raise money because again, that's another thing. You got to still pay your bills, and if we're both entrepreneurs and we're both having to press pause, a lot of people were really concerned about that and kind of came to our rescue there too. So.
Oh, that's great. That's great. That comes to show where the communal part of healing is so important when the community rallies together around individuals who are, actually journaling through cancer, so we wouldn't have that added pressure. It brings that relief of not worrying about how I'm going to provide for this roof over my head, or, for food for me, because then you're like, okay, I have to eat differently. Am I able to afford the things, to eat healthy, because sometimes eating healthy can be very expensive. And so if I'm already, experiencing some food insecurity already, just trying to challenge just from everyday living, how can I do that in order to ensure that I can still be here in the earth,
And even if you're not maybe eating the most healthiest food, it's, when you've got a rigorous schedule of going back and forth for appointments and treatments and again, you're trying to run a business and, you just keep your head above water, cooking it just gets very difficult too. It's just one less thing. If there's a meal on the table or food in the house, you don't have to be concerned about, making sure all that has to happen as well.
Right. Because, we have those who are newly diagnosed and they go and then they have, what do you call those things? It just slipped my mind. Where they tell you the structure of what's going to happen, what to expect, and then they give you a list of resources. And I can remember during that time when they had given me a list of resources, food was not included on there. It was just the numbers that I can call after hours, in case, certain medical things that may be happening. This is what you do, but nothing to address if I was in need of food, nothing to address if I was in need of assistance financially to provide, for mortgage. There was nothing to address when it came even to counseling.
Yeah, it was one of the first things, that we were advised from a friend who was also going through, his wife was going through cancer, was make sure you seek out your nurse navigator. And of course, that sounded like a foreign language to me. I don't know what that means.
Right.
And sure enough, and that's exactly what I try to tell patients that maybe come to us directly. We, and I know I'm getting ahead of ourselves, but we work closely with social workers, nurse navigators, but they are at the hospitals and at the oncology centers to help with those resources that may be in addition to, obviously, your medical care.
Right.
There's, I remember being in the hospital and I'd have social workers come into my room and they go through a whole battery of questions. And a lot of them are just general questions, but then sometimes it was, do you have running water at home?
Right.
And then it quickly realized, like, that question has to be asked.
Yes.
So
yes.
It's a struggle out there.
Right.
And you get added the cancer struggle, and now we're in a double whammy situation.
Right. Because cancer doesn't, decide, okay, we're only going to take this particular group of people or, individuals who are dealing, falling in this realm. It affects anyone.
Everybody. Yeah. Well, not everybody. Hopefully not. Please, no.
But anyone,
Yes.
anyone. So we definitely have to be mindful of that. And, so often our body is under attack and our appetite changes,
Yes.
As we go through that. And so does our awareness. So this is where we can come to knowing that we can still meet those needs. Well, I tell you, this is a lot to impact. All right? We will be right back here on the Healed Exchange.
We'll be right back with more encouragement and inspiration from Coach C on the Healed Exchange, only on WSIC. Local starts here.
We'll expect some extra clouds, but it should stay dry day of weather. A windy day of weather, too, for our Wednesday. Afternoon high temperatures, though, are in pretty good shape as we climb into the upper 60s, near 70 around the lake. Overnight upper 50s, so we stay mild. We should cross the 70-degree mark on Thursday, but we're going to bring back a bit of a wetter weather pattern as we go through the weekend. That's your forecast for the Surf Pickleball and Kitchen. I'm WSIC meteorologist Chase Myers.
Jay White here from Central Carolina Realty. We're right in the center of North Carolina, and we put you at the center of everything we do. If you're selling a home, buying a home, or adding doors to your rental portfolio, put the team at Central Carolina Realty to work for you. Go to centralcarolinarealty.com and let's get started.
Take your life by the reins and let the horses at Willow Equine heal and empower you. Located in Mooresville, our services help with trauma, anxiety, depression, and addiction. Love life again. Visit willowequine.com today.
Spotless cleaning. How can we make your day spotless? Yes, we make not just toilets spotless, but also counters, cabinets, and kitchens. We make your whole house, your whole day spotless. My grandparents taught me the details, not the things, make your home and your life luxurious. Yes, they raised me in Brazil. And that's why we will never charge you extra for base parts. Let me help you be a diva a few hours a week. Spotless Cleaning and C.com.
Keep winter cold outside with propane heat from GMB Energy. We provide cost-effective propane to cook meals and heat your home and water, even when the power goes out. For a limited time, save big with rebates, like up to $350 on Cozy Heat fireplaces and up to $450 on select Rinnai tankless water heaters. Visit one of our 9 locations. Call 855-LPG-PROS or visit gbenergy.com. GMB Energy, family-owned and NC Grow.
The change of seasons is tough on your system. Dust, wear, and cold snaps test its strength. Let Horn Heating and Air Conditioning prep your home before the holidays, so your heat will be ready when you need it most. Fall into the season of Visit hornhvac.com, where your comfort is our business.
Is your to-do list overwhelming? DIY gone awry? From leaky faucets, squeaky doors, and rooms in need of a makeover, House Doctors of Mooresville handles it all. Free estimates, quality materials, and a 1-year guarantee. We fix it, you relax. Visit housedoctors.com/Mooresville.
When cancer changes everything, hope still matters. Cancer thriver Charlisa Herriott, also known as Coach C, the Crushing Chemo Chic, creates faith-filled resources that comfort and uplift, including books, journals, planners, and greeting cards. Find encouragement created from lived experience at crushingchemochic.com and be sure to catch her show, The Healed Exchange with Coach C, Wednesdays from 11 to noon, right here on WSIC.
The button pushing stops here.
WSIC. Local. Starts here.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Stocks are ticking higher on Wall Street, led by NVIDIA. Shares of the company climbing 2.3% after announcing a long-term partnership with Meta to build data centers using millions of NVIDIA chips and other equipment to help its artificial intelligence ambitions. Meta's stock, meantime, is down slightly this hour. That's likely due to its trial today in Los Angeles, with CEO Mark Zuckerberg set to testify on whether Meta intentionally designed its products to be addictive to younger users. Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway has slashed its stake in Amazon by more than 75% in the fourth quarter after acquiring 5.1 million shares of the New York Times, a stake worth $352 million. Buffett stepped down as CEO last year. And Google's introduced its latest entry-level Pixel smartphone with new AI software capabilities. The Pixel 10a will cost about $500, about $100 cheaper than Apple's budget-friendly iPhone 17e, which is also expected to debut soon. Monica Ricks, Bloomberg Radio.
Don't miss a thing. Download the WSIC News app today. WSIC. Local starts here.
We're back with the Healed Exchange, your midweek boost of hope, encouragement, and empowerment. WSIC Local starts here.
Hope is rising, healings in the air, real stories, real strength, love everywhere. It's your time, your space, your next best day. Welcome to the Healed Exchange.
Welcome back to the Healed Exchange with Coach C. And we have here as our guest Kristi Martin, and she is a thriver of diagnosis of acute myeloid leukemia. And she also serves as the executive director and founder of Feast for Good. So there is something powerful about turning pain into provision. And at what point, Kristi, did you realize that the culinary community when they rallied around you and your husband during your time of treatment, that you seeing where the vision that they had and the impact that it made upon your life brought you to your nonprofit?
Sure. So, as I mentioned earlier, I had my bone marrow transplant, had a 1-year quarantine, and as I was coming out of that, COVID started.
Right.
And being a food tour business and restaurants shutting down, there was a lot of change and that big P word pivot happening with my business and trying to figure all that out, and had to jump head toe and wondering what we could do next, and wait for the restaurants to get their footing. Sadly, that didn't really happen until about 2021, and they still probably had a lot of rebuilding to do once all the restrictions were lifted. And I didn't know, at that point, as time went on, I realized I don't know if I'm going to be able to bring this back the way I had it or the way I wanted it. Maybe it's going to have to change. Do I want to rebuild it? Just all these questions started happening about what do I do? And do I do something else? And I just still felt maybe with the hospitality background, I just wanted to be more still in service of some sort.
Right.
And I had all kinds of ideas. And so spring of 2021, I had lunch with someone that was in a nonprofit in the cancer community in Charlotte, and they actually help fund a lot of other cancer organizations. And I'm telling her some of my ideas. I'm asking, I had no idea. I just was blowing a lot of, smoke out, and
Right.
I could tell she had something to say to me. And she said, well, I've been looking for an organization to provide food for cancer patients. And I'm like, whoa, okay, yes.
Wow.
And it just, all the light bulbs started going off. I'm like,
Right.
well, I have some maybe information on that. I have some experience in that. I have some friends in that.
Right.
I've been there, done that. I think, okay, I'll do this. And so
Yeah.
I kind of took that home and marinated a lot on it, and
Yes.
started figuring things out, and still had a passion that I still wanted to make sure I was telling Charlotte's culinary stories and still educating and enlightening people to local food. But
Yes.
how could I still do that service to the cancer community? And so just here we are. Feast for Good was born, and
Okay.
the food tour business was called Feast Food Tours. So it's kind of a spinoff, and moving into a new direction. I guess we could call it a pivot.
Right.
And we can, just kind of still trying to rally the community to feast for good, but
Yes.
also give cancer patients that are braving treatment, that same nourishment that I got during my treatment.
Oh, awesome. Amazing. That would be that's worth it. There's like the timing for it, when you met with her and knowing that, okay, now that you're at a point where what can I do
And I
after
was
this?
open to ideas, and
Yes.
she gave me one, and I ran with it, I guess. So.
Exactly. So I love that. So Feast for Good is more than food, it's dignity, it's support. It's saying you don't have to worry about dinner tonight.
Sure. So our primary program right now is called Helpful Harvest.
Okay.
And we did start out of the gate doing meals like I received from chefs and so forth. But we realized logistically we had to probably press pause on that program,
Okay.
figure out some logistics. But at the time, I had a patient come to us that got referred, and he was part of a program that was losing their funding.
Mm.
And as I started listening to the program, I started realizing, I think I know these people. Again, and with my relationships in the community, in the food industry, I was like, I
Right.
know, this sounds familiar, I think. And so I called them, and they're like, yes, we were doing that, but the funding ran out. And I'm like,
Mm.
well, I want to bring it back. And so it's a farm box. And so we partner with a Charlotte food hub called Fresh List.
Okay.
And what better nourishment than farm fresh food coming
Yes.
from passionate, hardworking farmers in our area,
Right.
and really having nutrient dense food coming to the doors of those going through cancer treatment.
That's
So
amazing.
that's what
That.
we're doing.
Oh, wow. Like it's just, the perfect storm
Mhm.
that really happened. It was the perfect storm because if you hadn't gone through that, then you wouldn't have came to this passion and this feast for good, it still would have been pivoted in the other direction for the tours, but not necessarily here, contributing opportunities, hope, and courage for those who are actually gone through a cancer journey. And to have a nutritionist meal provided, oh, wow.
Yeah, I learned quickly, running a business is one thing, running a nonprofit is a completely different thing. Luckily, it helps, but, I'm learning a lot. And I remember calling some of our first patients for the Helpful Harvest Farm Box program. And, it was, hi, so, and so, it sort of started out very transactional, and I got responses that were very transactional, like, yes, ma'am, and yes, and, and it was very ho-hum, but then I would tell my story. And then you could really physically and, hear the walls crashing down. And they now knew they had someone to talk to and someone that understood and someone that was here to help. And, it's... And so sometimes those phone calls then turn into therapy sessions in a way, but I'm here for it. I'm fine.
Right.
And and a lot of times they also tell me that, just hearing your story now gives me hope, because they're in the thick of it.
That's
and
right.
I'm on the other side, and that gives them hope. And I remember hearing those stories from during my own time, running into people bald, I'm bald, and they notice, and it's like they pull me aside and tell me I'm a survivor, and it helps. So it's good that not only the food, but yes, just having that person to talk to every now and then.
Absolutely. And someone who really understands, the position that you're coming from and understands what it feels like, what it, what it looks like, and, and sometimes what it's hard, it's hard terrain to really tread. And so this is definitely helping them along the way in that way. So that's very powerful because nourishment is definitely an emotional essential,
True. Yeah, I remember during my treatment, there was a doctor doing a study, and it was about financial toxicity on the outcomes of cancer.
Okay.
And so if you even if you translate that to any toxicity, meaning what are your stressors? What are your worries? And if you're worrying and stressing, what does that impact on your body? And you double that with the toxins and the chemo and everything that's going into your body. So if you can reduce some of this toxic stress and all this other stuff, maybe some of those other toxins aren't going to, kill you too much. They're going to actually give you, a better outcome. So
Absolutely, because that can be a lot. Because say stress can lead to death. It really can if it's not, taken handle and have control over it, because you don't want it to continue to have control over you and where it overpowers you. So yes, and here is where the communal, where the community, comes into play, and that's key. Letting you know that you don't have to tread cancer alone. There are other people who are out there and other organizations that are willing to definitely help for those who are going through. So that's definitely the key. So once we come back, we would like you to share with the listeners of how they can become a part, donate, partnership, or be of service for Feast for Good in order to help those who are going through. So we'll talk about that when we come back right after this break. And you're listening to The Healed Exchange.
We'll be right back with more encouragement and inspiration from Coach C on The Healed Exchange, only on WSIC. Local starts here.
We'll expect some extra clouds, but it should stay dry day of weather. A windy day of weather, too, for our Wednesday. Afternoon high temperatures, though, are in pretty good shape as we climb into the upper 60s, near 70 around the lake. Overnight upper 50s, so we stay mild. We should cross the 70-degree mark on Thursday, but we're going to bring back a bit of a wetter weather pattern as we go through the weekend. That's your forecast for the Surf Pickleball and Kitchen. I'm WSIC meteorologist Chase Myers.
Harness the healing power of horses. With the amazing staff at Willow Equine in Mooresville, we create a supportive environment conducive to healing and growth, dedicated to self-discovery and overcoming adversity. There's a program for you at willowequine.com.
Here is your WSIC community calendar.
Mooresville Community Children's Theater invites you to Honk Jr., a joyful musical retelling of The Ugly Duckling, filled with humor, heart, and messages about acceptance and self-confidence.
Performances run February 26th and 27th at 7 p.m., February 28th at 1 and 4 p.m., and March 1st at 2 p.m. at the Joe V. Knox Auditorium in Mooresville. Learn more and get tickets at mooresvillechildrenstheater.org.
Parents, if your kids are like mine, they just don't stop growing. The Terry Kids Children's Consignment Sale returns to Mooresville Saturday, February 28th through Wednesday, March 4th at the Merino Mill Complex, 200 Brawley Avenue. Shop huge savings on gently used children's clothing, toys, baby gear, and more, with multiple shopping days and early access options for the best selection.
Get the full schedule, shopping times, and consignor info at terrykidsconsignment.com/Mooresville.
And finally, love is still in the air for Lake Norman couples planning their big day.
The third annual My Favorite Bridal Show, hosted by Events by Victoria, happens Sunday, February 22nd from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the Kettle Room at Gibson Mills in Concord. More than 60 wedding vendors will be there, from florals and planners to fashion, desserts, and decor, plus tastings, a fashion show, and prize drawings throughout the afternoon.
Pre-registered couples get in free, or it's just $5 at the door. And it's one of the best ways to meet vendors and gather inspiration in one place. Learn more and register now at eventsbyvictorias.com.
For even more local events, family activities, and things happening around Lake Norman, visit liveworkplaylkn.com.
That's liveworkplaylkn.com.
N110, upscale and elegant, but never pretentious. Over 500 whiskeys, 100 wines, craft cocktails, and crave-worthy small bites. Live music plus monthly comedy nights and tastings. Post your next event at N110, located at 19712 1 Norman Boulevard in Cornelius.
We're back with the Healed Exchange, your midweek boost of hope, encouragement, and empowerment. WSIC Local starts here.
Hope is rising, healings in the air, real stories, real strength, love everywhere. It's your time, your space, your next best day. Welcome to the Healed Exchange.
Welcome back to the Healed Exchange with Coach C. And we have our guest here, Kristi Martin, and she's the Executive Director of Feast for Good, Nourishment, Brave Cancer. And it's a nonprofit here located locally in the Charlotte area. And she's also a thriver of acute myeloid leukemia. And so, Kristi, go ahead and share with us, because we know that community is so important. And just from hearing your story, how the community has rallied around you and what it brought to your mission and for Feast for Good and what the services that you provide here in the community. We know that there's a process in order for those who are listeners who are willing to want to donate or partner with you, or even to see if they are eligible to receive the services, if you can share it with us.
Sure. Well, to start with that, primarily, we're still fairly new. We're still small and mighty. So basically, all of our donations go towards our ability to buy food. And that is, like I said, through that food hub. And then that food money goes back to our economy here locally, to the area farmers. A $50 donation is basically what it takes to do the box full of all the fresh fruits and vegetables, the ground beef, the eggs, the rice, that kind of thing. And it also gets delivered to their door if they're within a particular delivery radius. Now, to determine if a patient is eligible, our hope is that we work, like I said, closely with the nurse navigators or social workers or case managers or dietitians that are in all of the different hospitals and oncology departments. So if you feel that you have a need and they know of, maybe not all of them know about it because we're still new. We're getting out there. It's starting to splinter out there, but
Yes.
they may or may not know we exist. So maybe you'll help us let them know. But if they do, then they can kind of walk through things and just double verify, and then we can kind of take that referral and go from there and see if we can assist.
Oh, awesome. Great, great. So definitely, do you have a website?
We do. So our
Okay.
website is feastforgood.org. And that has all the information about our story, our mission of our Helpful Harvest Farm Box program, and then also ways to donate and get involved. I do hope that we can grow some more of our Feast for Good opportunities so that we can still get that community to come together and eat and drink for a good cause. So stay tuned to the website. We post any of our events there as well if we have an opportunity where a local restaurant or culinary artisan wants to help us feast for good.
Okay, great. And so that would be like an event that you're speaking in terms of?
Yeah,
or-
so we've got some partnerships we've had across the last couple years where, maybe a local restaurant does a menu item that goes towards a local charity, or maybe it's, maybe a month-long program where a certain particular item or percentage of sales or that kind of thing, or a particular night, nonprofit night, So, yeah, I guess if you are a culinary artisan or a restaurant or brewery or anything here and would like to figure out a way that we can try to drive people to come feast for good, I'm open to those ideas as well.
Awesome. That's a good call to action. So listen out there, any of those you are, as she stated, restaurant owners and breweries. This is a time and opportunity if you're looking for 2026 to really help in the community and to give back. I think this would be a great source of to actually seek after. So I love that idea. Have my brain thinking now myself to see how we can just really get that started. Okay, so I will definitely be speaking even with the ones that I do know that own restaurants and see if this is something that they definitely would be interested in. So it's good to know. All right, so now we've came to this point in our show here, and we believe here at the Healed Exchange that healing is layered, meaning physical, emotional, and spiritual. So here's our Healed Exchange question. What has cancer taught you about gratitude and daily living?
A lot. I guess right before diagnosis, you sometimes, especially as an entrepreneur, you get really in your head, you feel very alone, you feel, all those things. And then, of course, after this diagnosis, you then quickly realize, especially if you do have that support system, whoa, no, you're not alone. And but if you don't have that support system, that's also another challenge. But for me personally, it was definitely a lot of gratitude. I definitely learned a lot about emotion and learned that you need to feel those emotions and work with them. You can't suppress them. That's not healthy either.
Right.
Just go with it. And then I remember as I was trying to rebuild, you have to have a lot of gratitude, but you also have to have a lot of grace with yourself because there's not, you may not be, I'm definitely after all the things I went through, you can't expect that you're going to be the same as you were. And, they tore you down, but you just have to have grace with yourself to stumble forward and get stronger and do it without thinking that, don't get frustrated with yourself because you can't do something you did a year ago.
Right.
It'll come. You just have to now crawl again before you walk. So
Yes, and I love that you said stumble forward.
Mhm.
So that means when forward moving, we may fall, but we shall get back up again.
That's right.
Yes. Well, see, here at the Heal Exchange, what I have incorporated is that I'm always one about celebrating life and celebrating the moments. when I look at it, when we have another year and we say, happy birthday, but I say happy heal year. So when I look at opportunities that come as moments, then we are to cherish those moments that we do have. So here I would like to extend a little bit of gratitude and appreciation to you, Kristi, for all that you do here in the community, for the mission and the passion that you have behind your mission for Feast for Good. And it's my prayer that it will definitely spring forward into the hearts and minds of many in our local area, that they will be willing to be of service for meeting your needs in order to continue to provide the services for those who are treading a cancer journey. So we would like to say thank you.
Well, thank you, and thank you to all those that have supported us thus far. I mean, it is amazing when I talk to these patients and they tell me how much this food is so much better than the grocery store, and they're learning about all these local farms and even new ingredients maybe to them that they never knew. Or I even had one gentleman tell me that he's never had a fresh peach in his life, and he was 74 years old.
Wow.
And so, it is making a difference. And so we appreciate your support and everybody else so far, and anybody new that would love to come rally around us.
Yes, yes. And that is so significant because you say the first peach ever. You're not just only impacting them physically, but you're impacting them mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, as well as communally, letting know that there's someone out there in the community that really do care.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, that's what the world needs. We need more of Kristi and Feast for Good.
And more farmers.
And more farmers. You're right. We can't do it without our farmers.
That's right. Yes.
Planting. Oh my goodness. I love it. All right. So now we're coming to the end of our show. Is it almost time yet? Well, I'm telling you, I'm super excited that you have been here with us, Kristi. And, it's definitely been a pleasure being able to share, your vision and Feast for Good with our listeners. And hopefully that they have been truly impacted and seeing the change that has come within their lives, just knowing that there's another organization that's out there that's willing to help those who are treading a cancer journey, and that they're not alone. That there is others who are out there to helping to live healed, to live whole, and to live well. And so I thank you and for your vision. And so Cancer Thrivers, I'm telling you, this has been a great show here on today. And I hope that you all will definitely have taken the nourishment that has been shared and feast on it in however you would like to, giving donations, partnering with Feast for Good, with Kristi Martin. So look out, make contact with her, but also continue to make contact with us here at the Healed Exchange with Coach C. Thank you for today, and we'll see you next week.
Great radio doesn't end here. Catch the full episode and dive into our archives on the WSIC News app.
WSIC 105.9 FM, 100.7 FM, 1400 AM, Statesville, Lake Norman's home for local talk radio. WSIC, local starts here.